Yo. And lonely boy blues, lonely boy blues.
All I hear was, we're gonna tase you, put the baby down, we're gonna tase you. And then this nigga starts bolting with the kid, and then I see the two cops hop over, they have their taser and they're chasing them. I'm like, oh. So I'm like, long curly hair, hopping over this little wall right here. You see the wall right there?
Yeah, a little baby wall.
And he had a baby in his hand, and I'm like, yo,
like
what?
Baby.
Like an infant, maybe a year old, maybe.
So
maybe.
like a baby that's big enough to
like you hold and like
on his hip.
Yeah, like he has him like, and I'm like, what is going on? And then all I hear was, we're gonna tase you, put the baby down, we're gonna tase you. And then this nigga starts bolting with the kid, and then I see the two cops hop over, they have their taser and they're chasing them. And I'm like, oh. So I run out into the garage, and Michaela's out there. I'm like, Michaela, get inside, get in the house. What's going on? We're looking out the window, and they are chasing them, and they running, and all of a sudden he drops the baby. So I go outside. I open the garage. I'm trying to look and see what's going on. They get him on the ground, and I guess he dropped the baby in the street, and they get him on the ground. Dang. They're like tussling with him for a minute, and then they finally get him, and then another officer pulls up, and they get him, and they put him into the back of the car, and then all of a sudden, like 12 cop cars flooded the whole entire neighborhood,
just to
ambulance,
make it extra.
everything. And then some lady was coming out, like these black women are coming out, they're screaming or something, and I'm like, and then they're like, someone was like, he has a gun or something like that, and then some lady's like, no, the gun, he doesn't have the gun's in the house, and I'm like, what is going on? And two things.
Wow.
Two things. Wow. First part is, one, this is crazy running from the cops with a baby, but also it's smart if you're trying to get shot, because odds are they're not going to shoot with a baby.
I don't know, man.
I mean they will, but when you're holding a baby straight up, I mean, there's like this, it's like different, you know? Okay. I'm not saying they won't, but it's a little different when you're looking at an infant in your face, right?
It ain't.
But number two, I think the thing that I was looking at is like the climate that we're in, where we're at in society. It's like that situation was like you're asking to be shot because you're running from the police with a baby and someone's yelling out you have a gun. You know darn well the first thing they're going to do is light you up. Like, you know, if you... Today, you would know that if you decide to run or do something, that the likelihood of you getting shot is high.
There was like... Okay.
So, and I don't know, from what I gathered from the neighbors and everybody was that this was his kid, and he must have gotten some kind of dispute with the baby mother, the child of the mother, and everything, and they weren't really together, but they lived down the street, and I guess like he hit her or something like that, and she fell out. Then the cops were called, and then he tried to grab the baby and dip off and run with his kid. I don't know if he was trying to run, to leave with his baby. I don't really know, but the way I look at it is like, you don't have as much slack to do much.
Absolutely.
And like the fact that you weren't shot is a miracle, number one. But number two, it's like you giving people a lot of reasons to do something.
Here's the thing.
With knowing the climate we're in, running is an excuse to get shot at now. So it's like when you run and do that, like, are you really like, am I really like, is it that bad when you decide to keep, like, if you put yourself in a position where you know when you run, people shoot you. So then why would you do something in the offense where people are going to shoot you and then be like, well, this is wrong? But it's like, if we know this, why act accordingly?
So look.
So that's my point of view.
When I hear this, my mind goes a lot of different places, right? The first place, so one of the places, not the first place, but one of the places that it goes is when you said this, like when people start coming outside and, you know, family, does he got the gun? And people who aren't in the dispute but know the person, you know what I mean? And they start saying reckless stuff like that. That is 100% reckless. 100% reckless. I agree. Like, you know what I'm saying? Make sure your people is good, but don't say nothing. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you stand out there, you be quiet, you make sure your people is good, right? So that's 100% reckless. I agree with you. I agree. Be quiet. Like that, straight up.
That shouldn't be said at this time.
Like at all.
Not
like,
right now.
There's no reason why you should have came out the house
and saying like something like that. For sure.
100%.
For sure.
100%. Shut up.
Agree.
But another thing that I honestly think of when I hear this is like, I just think about a father, right? Like, I don't understand. like, I do understand it, but my heart goes out to him because I feel like the only way that you take your kid, you know what I mean, is because you feel like they can't be there. You know what I mean? Like, this is your kid. I want to take them. I want to protect them. You know what I'm saying? I want this. I want my kid with me. I'm assuming the positive intention, right, on his half.
For sure.
But again, he is running from the police with his kid in his arms. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that says something to me about fatherhood. You know what I mean? Like, where he's trying to get his kid somewhere, right?
Okay.
And maybe in that process he exposed them to whatever. But really, my heart goes out to him as a father, and my heart goes out to the kid, right? And that bond is extremely powerful, right? Because we talk about the importance of Black fathers, right? So when I hear that, that's the first place my mind goes to. And it's sad, right? You think about a man probably love his kid, you know what I mean? So the second part of that, another thing I think is there's never a situation where I think that, the police acted 100% within the scope of their power, right? And that's because of what you said, the climate that we're in, right? So when I hear stories like this, my mind is immediately searching for the ways that these cops were extra. And my mind immediately starts to search for the ways where the cops could have potentially mitigated this situation so that it didn't blow up. I start thinking about the ways in which they could have done something different, or the ways that maybe they would have done something different if this was a white man and his kid. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. So my mind automatically goes there. Do I think that you tase a man holding his child? Hell no. You know what I mean? Like, that's not necessary. You know what I mean? That's not necessary. You know what I mean? Like, the chase, obviously, right? Police chase people all the time. So the chase, obviously, is necessary. But, I don't know.
So just a little clarification. In the pursuit after he ran over here, he dropped I don't know if he dropped the baby because he tased him, or he dropped the baby and then they tased him. But for whatever, he made it not that far, like to the next driveway, and they got him on the ground. But I understand that. And the thing is, I don't know what happened prior. Really, I don't really know. But I mean, I'm going by what we just saw, like what I saw. A part of me does feel for the guy. Like, I think about it because I'm a dad too. But the other side of me is like, I would never want to put my daughter in the situation to see me get killed or to see me run and get tased. Like, that also is like in part of my head too. Right. Like, what's the two worst outcomes? Like, running with my child, possibly getting shot with my baby, or not getting shot or tased, or dipping off without my child. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know the situation. Maybe there was some kind of crazy.
Yeah, like, I wonder what type of options he had. Like, I
don't know. I don't know.
I feel you.
But I mean, if you look at it from face value, for me, it's like, I don't know the situation, but I don't see myself. It has to be something really extreme for me to be running with my daughter. It has to be running from some clear danger of her. Right. Not of me, of her, Right. So I don't really know, but it's just, I think this is a teachable moment to learn, like, you can't do as much stuff and get away with it today.
You can't. You have to live better.
Let's not die recklessly. Right. When we can prevent it.
Let's find ways around it.
Because there's I mean, he didn't. Thank God he wasn't killed. Right. And
his family failed him. Whoever the people was that walked out of the house saying all of this reckless stuff, and so they essentially failed him.
The only thing I'm thinking of, my only rational thought with the situation is maybe like the dispute happened with the mother and the father, and I'm assuming that's her family, and they were just probably upset with him for whatever reason. And was like, like, you doing this extra stuff. Right. And then the gun call came out. But it's like, I don't know. I wouldn't say that, but maybe they're just like, they don't care about him anymore. So they just rather like, get out of here, or whatever.
It's exactly what you said. Like, in this climate, we need to operate under the assumption that any police interaction with a black man can be deadly, right?
It can.
Will be deadly, right? So we almost have to operate as if this man will kill me. Because that's the truth. You know what I mean? That's the truth. So, this police officer will kill me, so I need to be 100% on my best behavior, 100% on my P's and Q's. And like, that kind of leads us into something that like I talk about often, that kind of breaks my heart, because I work with young people and I work with young black boys, right? So the reason why I said it breaks my heart is because you have to prepare them to live and operate under these circumstances, right? You have to prepare them. If you get pulled over, you don't need to be upset. Right. You know what I mean? The way that you're yelling right now, you can't do that. You know what I mean? I understand you're upset and all of this stuff and the custody. You're probably right. You probably do have a reason to be upset. But the way that you're acting right now, you can't act like that. You can't act like that in this school. You can't act like that in front of me, and you damn sure can't act like that out there because you will get killed. You know what I mean? You can't act like that around the police. Period.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So you kind of have to prepare your children, you know what I mean, for the day when they come into contact with the police officer, because it's going to happen, for the day when they are mistaken for, you know what I mean, a hoodlum, a thug, whatever it is, for the day. So you have to prepare them. This is your ID. If they ask you for it, give it to them. You know what I mean?
You need to be taught how to learn to keep your composure and just comply with the demands, because you can fight in court. But you can't fight because you're just gonna get shot and killed. But people don't understand that, like, a higher
level of discipline that we have to train our kids to have. You know what I mean? Because under any circumstances, they will not hesitate.
Because I've been pulled over by the cops numerous times. I've been searched numerous times, and I would say 8 out of 10 times nothing happened, but 2 times were clearly racist things that happened to me. It's not saying that every time it's going to happen, but I'm always prepared like it is.
Wouldn't you even say that, like, 2 out of the 10 times, like, that's a fault. Like, I would
just say for me personally. I'm saying for me, not for anybody
and I feel
else.
And I almost feel like you're downplaying your own experience a little bit. I mean, I can't tell you because you were there and I wasn't, but it almost seems like anytime you're driving and you get pulled over and they're asked to, and they pull you out of your car and search your vehicle, I would almost always say 100% of the time that is racially motivated.
Well, for the times that it happened, it was. Both times that it happened, which are the 2 times that were, in my personal opinion, racist encounters, it was. Both times weren't justifiable. Yeah. The first time it happened was my car was in a neighborhood and didn't look like it would fit the neighborhood. Then they pulled me out. Pulled everybody out the car, searched my entire car. Right.
That's racially motivated.
Second time, they thought I was a drug dealer selling drugs to my friend in the car next to me. Right. But then pulled out all my credit cards, my wallet, dumped out my entire trunk, ransacked my car, but never questioned him or checked if he even had anything on him. Yeah. And he was a white dude.
Yeah, that's racial. That's racial.
So those 2 times particularly, and I would say there was one other time too, actually. 3 times total. Yeah. And out of the 3 times it's happened to me, I can say racially motivated, but the other times weren't.
Why not?
Just like traffic stops, like regular stuff, like nothing crazy.
They didn't ask you to get out of the car?
No, they didn't get nothing out of the car. One time I got arrested in Vegas, but because I was drunk and I knocked over a glass, and then they put me in the thing, whatever. Maybe. So there's like other times where it's not racially motivated, right? But I always kept my head of like, I'm not trying to die here. Anytime. So like thinking about it, like, it's okay.
She scared me.
Watch out for the crib, baby. No, but like baby. For me, it was like every time I'm in the situation, in my head, I'm like, this is an officer who has a gun, so I can't. Like, I'm not trying to argue with you. Right. I'm not trying to combat you. Facts. I'm not trying to come and there's no back and forth here. Facts. I'm going to comply, and if you want to arrest me, I'll go fight you in court. There's nothing else to say. I'm not going to be a hard ass. I'm not going to be, extra. You know what I mean? Like, that's just me, because I understand the end game is me to live. Your life. The most important thing is leaving alive. That's the most. For sure. And besides, what are you gonna do? Argue with the officer? Is not gonna go anywhere. They're just gonna arrest you. You're still gonna go to court anyways.
Yeah, it's not gonna go your way.
So like, fight it in court. So my thing is like, with this situation that I saw, it's like, I don't know the full circumstances, but I want this to be a teaching lesson to how we need to operate is under complete control and discipline of your emotions. Yes. And comply, because you can fight in court, but you can't fight when you're dead.
You can't fight when you're dead.
And I think that's one thing we don't, like, it's not really pushed enough. It's like, F the police, but it's like, we're also people. I see people doing this, and it's like, well, damn, like, and he didn't get shot, because this is a good reason to get shot. Like, you run in and someone's saying you have a gun.
People have been shot for less. Let's say that. Let's say that. People have been shot for less.
I'm not saying it's a good reason to get shot, but it's like,
it's not a good reason. The police don't deserve to shoot them. All of that, but
people have been shot for less. So it's like, if we know that, then this is like, okay, right? So I just want people to understand that part. Not that I'm condoning the police, but it's like, if we don't control our emotions, we know the outcome. So why keep doing that?
I remember once I was living at home, and I don't remember how old I was, but I was living at home, and at the time, and my mom has lived there for a long time. Like, she bought the house when I was like 4 or 5, right? And I'm 30 now, right? So that tells you how long. So
a good chunk of life.
There was this neighbor who lived next to us, right? This old black man, this older black dude, and this young lady, right? Okay. She's maybe, I don't know, younger than him, right? And then I think they were in a relationship. I don't really know their business, but they were living together. He had a, cool little car, whatever. And his son, and at one point his son came home and was living there too, right? But I didn't really know. And I remember it's like, and I know that my bedroom where it is like the side of the house and then their house, right?
Okay, so they're like the next, they're like, you're right next to their wall.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I remember one night, and it's late because the entire house is asleep, and what we hear is like the man beeping the horn. You hear a horn going off like crazy, and you hear it, and you basically hear this man's son calling out for his dad. Okay. Like, it's got to be the middle of the night, horns going off like crazy, and this dude is like yelling in a way where he sounds like he's hurt, you know what I mean? Or he's about to be hurt, right? Okay. And he's calling out for his dad, daddy, right? And this is a grown man. Let me say that. This is a grown man. It's the middle of the night. We wake up, right? Me and my mom wake up. And what you see is when we look out our front window, you see like these 4 cop cars, and the doors open. They got their guns out pointing at this dude. You know what I mean? And his car's like at the edge of the driveway, right? So the cop cars are circling the driveway. You know what I mean? Doors is open. Cops has got their gun pointing at the dude, and he's got his door open, standing up outside the door, hitting the horn like this, if that makes sense, calling for his dad to come outside. So calling for his dad to come outside. I don't know what he did. I don't even know how the situation ended, right? But his son was at home a couple days later, so it worked out. Well, but all I know is that I was terrified for him. You know what I mean? Like, you see something like that, and I remember me and my mom started praying, and I was like crying. I was like terrified for him because I'm like, they're about to kill this dude. That's really what I thought. I had no other explanation. I don't know what he did. I don't care what he did, but they're about to kill him, and he's terrified because he's calling for help. Yeah, and his dad, he's over here seeing dad like a little kid. Like a little kid, and this is a grown man. So, I mean, it's, and I have other experiences. I got you. You know what I mean? Like that. And like, I just remember being terrified for him. So I said all that to say that it is possible for you to comply completely. You know what I mean? And for sure. And it still not go your way.
For sure. I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, I agree. Like, there's times where you've seen it. People comply and listen, and then it gets shot.
And you still get shot.
Right? And I get it.
So I agree with you. Like, we have to 100% be on our P's and Q's. Yeah. And even this latest instance, the lady said she thought she was grabbing her taser.
Yeah, and shot the guy.
What the?
How do you mistake your taser? It's a lot heavier. One is significantly heavier.
That this is an armed person. Who we are paying to protect and serve us, and she doesn't know the difference between a handgun and a taser.
Which the weight
First
difference
of all,
alone,
that's scary, man. Yeah. Like, that's scary.
I can understand.
And I don't know if she said that because she was trying to take the heat off of her, like, oh, I didn't mean to, like, I didn't mean to shoot him, or I don't know if she said that because she actually meant it. Either way. And even that maybe she really did mistake it. At the end of the day, it's still completely negligent on your part as an officer.
If in the event that if she did, it's still wrong. It's still wrong. You don't get to have the I didn't realize when someone's life is at play. You know what I mean? Like, you don't.
That is so scary. That is such a scary thought. That is so frightening. That a trained officer
can forget.
Not forget.
Or mistake.
Didn't know the difference between a Glock and a taser. If that is true. Have you ever held a taser?
Yeah.
You know the weight of a taser?
Yeah, it's not that heavy. I mean, it's a little bit of weight, but nothing like.
Have you ever held a gun? A handgun?
And a loaded gun at that.
A loaded gun.
It's a lot different.
It's much
more heavy.
It's a lot different.
It's much more.
Let me just say that. It's a lot different.
It's a huge weight difference.
It's a lot different.
You know, so I don't know.
It's a lot different.
I can't say what's true, but I don't believe it. I don't believe that, honestly. I don't believe that it was just mistaken.
You got to be a special kind of stupid.
But I don't know. I don't know because I wasn't there. But in the event,
I wasn't there.
So in the event that she was mistaken, it doesn't justify the fact that you just in this man's life because of mistake. A mistake was like you got to pay for that mistake. Number two.
But like, does she pay for that mistake by keeping her job?
Hell no.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Hell no.
That's what I'm saying. Like, does she pay for this mistake by keeping her job? Does she pay for this mistake by losing her pension? Does she pay for this mistake by going to jail? Right? Mm-hmm. How does she pay for this mistake exactly? Like, is there restitution involved?
I think that would depend on the family. I think if something like this would happen, it depends on the family wants to do.
I accidentally
because there's two things that you can do jail time, but I think everyone who does this should lose their career.
Pause. And hold on, I just want to say this really quick. But if I'm not mistaken, usually your gun and your taser are held on two different sides of your belt.
I'm not sure. I have to look into it and see. It might be. I don't know though. I don't have an answer for that.
I'm almost positive. I don't know. I gotta look it up. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I think that the family should decide what happens.
For sure.
But I think guaranteed you should lose your job, all your pension, everything. Mm-hmm. And I think that should automatically go to the family.
Oh.
Like in all the court fees that happen, like when people get sued and like get $12 million for someone dying, mm-hmm. that should come from the officer. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And because then the family has a wrongful death suit. You sue the city.
Because think about it, if that does happen, mm-hmm. every officer would think twice because they're going to lose millions of dollars mm-hmm. and jail time for sure and mm-hmm. lose your career. Right. Like you would, racist or not, you're going to think twice
about your money
because your money is really your
and the way that you take care of your family. Yeah,
think about it.
Sure.
That's really you're thinking about that. Yeah, you think if you could get away with it, but if you know you can't get away with it and you got to go jail time and you lose your career and you got to pay like $10 to $12 million. You would think twice about it. I don't care how mad you were.
They wouldn't be able to pay $10 to $12 million, but whatever's in their pension, absolutely.
Whatever, like going forward, everything they had, gone.
Gotta go.
I mean, I think anybody would think twice.
For sure.
Just because you have way much more to lose than you do gaining. You have way more to lose. Mm-hmm. And everybody is about their money. I don't care if you're white, black, Asian, Mexican. You about your money when it comes to your family.
Hit them in their pockets.
So
because
honestly,
these wrongful death suits because typically you can do it like I think Breonna Taylor's family settled with the city or the state or whatever. Uh-huh. So these wrongful death suits like coming out of the pockets of the city like that doesn't affect the police officer.
That's what I'm saying.
If anything, that's taxpayer money. Like if anything, that's our money.
Yeah. So it's like it doesn't really affect them. So if you put the accountability on them where they got to do, you lose everything. It's like you would think twice.
I'm coming for your pension, bro.
I bet you a lot of these fools would be way less trigger happy.
But then here's the thing. What you can find in somebody's pension isn't enough to cover damages. But you should at least take that and then take the rest of the money from the city, right? Or from the police department. Yeah. And then take that shit from their budget.
Yeah, we could do that. From their personal, like the actual...
Take the officer's pension and then take the money from the police budget. But you can't do that because they wouldn't have no money. They wouldn't have no operating money because that's how negligent these niggas are.
And there's also one more piece I want to say because... we are looking at it from one side, the black perspective, yes. But you got to remember, if you're an officer, a part of your job is to come home every day. Like, you got to remember, a part of your job is to come home.
Absolutely.
Right? So, and I've seen many, hold on. Okay. Many of these things where officers were doing, stops at cars, being friendly, not engaging like that. I just seen one the other day. And I want to say it's New Mexico. Officer went up to the door, checked the guy, told him he needed to get out because he had to go running because he didn't have his license or his name or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then before he was like, "Wait, sir, so before you get it, is that a weapon?" And he was like, "Yeah." And the guy was like, "Yes." And there's something. He was like, "All right, like for both our safeties, like just step out, we're gonna secure the weapon first."
Was it a white person?
I think he was Mexican.
Okay.
So the officer's on the driver's side, the passenger side, mm-hmm. because they're on the freeway. Mm-hmm. And then so as the guy gets out, he pulls a weapon so he can show the officer. And as they walk whack, he just takes on and unloads and kills the officer. Okay. Boom. That quick.
Okay.
So I understand to some degree, like the environment of officers, you don't know what situation you're going to encounter every single stop. You don't. You don't know.
You don't.
And the last thing you want to do is get caught slipping.
And as a beat cop, they tell you that that's probably the most dangerous part of your job is walking up on a car, right?
Yeah, because you can't see, you don't know what they have, you don't even know who is in there mm-hmm. or what's even going on mm-hmm. or what they're willing to lose or walk or So I think that is a part that people don't realize with police. It's like you're trained to be this way, and on top you don't really understand what you're about to walk into. So you might be scared.
So here's the thing,
and if you have a certain perspective of black people, you're going to be automatically already
that's the issue. That's the issue. So I agree with everything you're saying, just about everything you're saying. But the problem is, mm-hmm. here's the problem. when police officers become police officers,
Mm-hmm.
they do so understanding the risks associated with their job.
True.
Right?
True.
Okay. If a guy's job is to get on the big old scaffolding and clean the windows,
Mm-hmm.
there's an amount of risk associated with him being on the scaffold 25 stories off the ground.
Yeah.
Right?
Agreed.
So as your department, as your person who's assuming the risk, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
You do the best that you can to mitigate those risks, right?
I understand that.
And you also go through an extensive amount of training, right? I was having this conversation with my mom, and my mom was telling me, because she works for LA County and she's done so for a long time. And she said, I got to go through this kind of training. I have to go through bias training
Mm-hmm.
every year. Mm-hmm. Once a year, I have to go through a bias training,
Mm-hmm.
right? She's like, do police officers have to do that? And I was like, I don't know. That's a good question, right?
Yeah.
But she's like, once a year, I have to go through a sexual harassment training. She's telling me all the trainings that she has to go through. And I'm like, dang, I got to go through a lot of shit too, right?
Yeah,
so I'm
I
thinking,
can do that too. Some of that, yeah.
Every year, right? Do police officers have to do that?
I don't know.
Is it every year?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I'll ask. I'll ask around. That's a good question.
That's a great question, right?
Yeah.
Because if not, they definitely need to be doing it.
For sure. I agree.
So the point that I'm making, anyway, I said all of this to say that what comes into play here, right? And the reason why we're not looking at both sides, we're looking at police misconduct, is because you are walking into a situation that is quite literally your job.
Yeah.
And you knew it was your job when you took it. You knew the risk associated with your job when you took it, right? And because of that, you are supposed to be trained to handle the risks associated with your job.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So shooting into a car, that's not part of your training.
Okay.
Mistaking a Glock for a taser,
Understood.
it's not part of your training. You understand what I'm saying? So there's a gross miseducation among police officers, right?
Okay.
And it's causing people to be killed.
I agree.
Not just any people, it's causing black people, right? To be unproportionately murdered, right?
Okay.
For no reason. Your job. And here's the thing. Cops manage to detain and bring to jail white people all the time. All the time.
Mm-hmm. I understand.
All the time. So now all of a sudden,
we're also not taking consideration how many arrests are done without anybody getting shot either. With black people,
it doesn't matter.
With black people in general,
it doesn't matter.
How does it not matter?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
How does that not matter?
Do you get a pat on your ass every time you do your job right?
No. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm saying we're looking at one part of the data, which I agree.
And here's the thing: that's the only part of it that is looked at, right? In any sector of industry, period. I said that to say when I do my job right, I don't get a pat on my ass.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you know
when you do it wrong, it's gonna be seen.
Boom. So the police industry is no different.
Yeah, I agree.
When doctors get it right, they get it right. But when they get it wrong,
it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Same thing with police officers.
I agree.
So it's not like, yay, you did your job good today.
It's not that yay.
You didn't shoot nobody.
No, it's not like yay. No, it's not like a yay thing, but it's like also like we're using data of how many people are getting killed per se, like blacks, but then we're not looking at how many arrests happened that nobody got killed in.
Because I don't care about that.
Because like you're not looking at the data, because if you may look, it may be like proportionally overwhelming that is not as many people getting killed compared to getting arrested.
There shouldn't be.
I know, but so that's what I'm saying. Like we look at the data and we get mad at this, which I agree. I don't think any of these people should be shot or killed, but we're also not looking at the fact that is this happening majority of the time or not? Is this this is happening all the time where like 50% of African Americans are getting shot compared to 50%? No, 10%. I don't know the numbers.
And that's what I'm saying.
So that's what I'm saying. We should look at the numbers more.
It doesn't, but what I'm saying is that it doesn't matter the number.
I disagree.
It doesn't matter the number, right? Because the reason why the number doesn't matter is because it's happening too much. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
One time is too many, right?
I agree.
One time that a police officer slips up and kills somebody, period, regardless of their race, right, who was unarmed and essentially not a threat to you or your job, and that person comes up dead, that's one time too many.
I agree with you.
That is one time too many. So it doesn't matter the number, right? Because it's more than one. That's the first thing. The second thing is that when we look at whatever the number is in comparison to our white counterparts, it's too many.
I don't have the data. I don't know.
It's too many.
It's too many. I need to look it up, but
it's too many.
It's just interesting. For me, it's interesting. But
it's too many.
But I think ultimately, circle back to the original point, I think that, it's imperative for everybody dealing with the police. You got to keep your composure.
P's and Q's.
Like, you got to really keep your composure, because I was like thinking about the situation. I'm like, he could have really. In my head, I'm like, oh shoot, he's about to get shot. Like, he's about to die. Right. That's what I thought. And I'm like, damn.
That's a fair and
that's like, damn.
That's
but
terrible.
It's damn.
Yeah.
But it's also like what I know can happen. They can easily swing that to be justifiable in some way.
For sure.
So, and it's like, if you get shot for less than that, then that's like, all right. Like, like, I'm not saying you should, but it's just like, we got to do better to not put yourself in a situation to be justifiable in some way, shape, or form. Like, even though it happens when it's not justifiable, when you're complying and stuff, but the less likelihood of you getting shot is significantly lowered when you comply completely.
For sure.
And I think that needs to be talked about. Is like, that's what you do to be safe.
It's got to be
as safe
taught.
as you possibly can. Yeah. It's not a guarantee, but it's a potential better outcome than doing this.
Yeah, for sure. Much better outcome.
But yeah, that was just my thoughts on it. It was just interesting.
Good talk.
Yeah, I think it was pretty good.
Good talk.
We'll wrap it up on this one. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I feel like there's some still there.
No, I'm good. Yeah, okay. Good talk.
I think it was very productive.
Good talk.
Honestly,
good talk.
I just had to look at my data more, but yeah, it's interesting, and the Black experience is very unique. It's very unique in general. But yeah, we all
agreed.
Yeah, it's very unique to every individual Black person. It's very unique.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so
it's interesting, but it's crazy because I definitely wouldn't want to be born any other race.
Me neither.
I would never want to be born any other race.
Me neither. I mean, honestly, I love being Black. I mean, I think to me, I feel like it's cool as fuck. I don't know.
I saw like a meme or a tweet or something that was like, being Black is lit. It's dangerous. It's dangerous, but it's lit. And you like, it is kind of lit. It's dope. It
is. Like, besides like the crazy shit you gotta deal with, it's like hella dope. Not gonna lie, like it is dope. It is dope. You come from like a heritage of being able to endure and also withstand, and then also be able to like morph the pain of enduring into something pleasant and cool and tangible, and like, and be able to bring life into it in a different way. And then that's dope in my opinion.
It is. And then when you look at like melanin, right? Like the melanin that's in our skin that makes it this color, and all of the benefits that we get just from being melanated creatures. Like,
I don't get sunburn like that.
like it's
I mean,
it's dope. Bit, it's dope. Like that's because we absorb the sunlight, right? Like our skin absorbs the sunlight when other skin tones that don't have enough melanin they burn. You know what I'm saying? So like, and we get so much strength and like you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Just look it up. Y'all let me know. Holla at me.
You know what I'm saying? On the next one, you know what I'm saying? But don't call her Shantizzy.
Good talk. Our
next one, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you guys so much. Until another episode of Unpack Your Bag Podcast. We are your hosts, Tony Perks, Chantal, aka Chantal. AKA Shantizzy. AKA don't call it that. She might you know what I'm saying? But I can say that, but she only let me say it. She doesn't really let me say it. I just kind of do it.
I don't. You just do it without my permission. I never get permission.
Every time she's like, don't say that, I'm like, okay. Shantizzy. It's the rebel side of me. I can't help it. All
right, y'all, man. Don't forget to like this video, comment, subscribe, and again, go ahead and join the conversation. Let us know your thoughts and perspectives on anything that we talk about.
And real talk, I don't know why I wore a do-rag. I'm wearing a do-rag right now, but
I do know.
Let me show. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get that young freshie in there. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get that young freshie.
All right, that's enough of that.
You know what I'm saying? Get that young
thank
fresh.
You for tuning in.
Let me put the headphones. You gotta get that young fresh. You know what I'm saying? Don't let the do-rag fool you. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you for tuning in.
Them lonely boy blues, lonely boy blues. Them lonely boy blues, lonely boy blues. You don't hear about it every day.